In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a complete step-by-step process on how you can start your own furniture flipping side hustle or small business for under $200. I'm at my local Goodwill. I don't have a ton of space, so it has to be small. And I did locate this furniture piece. I opened up the drawer and I saw that it says buy direct sale on the inside, and I know that that furniture, after doing a quick Google search, does retail pretty high. It's a high quality item. And then I located the price tag, only $19.99, so I picked it up and brought it home. Okay, so here I just want to take a brief look at the things that I need in the very beginning to clean and sand these pieces. So I've got isopropyl alcohol, I've got a multi-surface cleaner just in case I need it for something. I've also got old t-shirts that were my son's, I was going to just throw away, so I'm using them as rags. I've got paint sanding mask. It's really going to protect you from breathing in, bad particles. You don't need to be breathing in this wood that's going to be sanding off. So definitely wear something to protect your mouth from not breathing that in. And then I have this sander. It was $59. You're definitely going to need one because you're not going to want to sand these by hand. It would take hours upon hours. So I'm going to go ahead and unpack all this and get these clean. Now that I'm done cleaning the piece, like I stated, I definitely wear a mask for sanding. And this is what it looks like to start sanding the item. On the top, I think I'm going to just restain the top with a wood stain because that look is really in. So I'm really sanding it down to get it nice and smooth, and then I'm just going to continue this process for the entire piece. Okay, now that it's time to sand down the drawer, I am just taking off the hardware, setting it to the side so I can clean later, and then I'm going to go ahead and wipe this down and sand the drawer as well. Okay, so the next step for this, because this is all sanded, and I do just want to note really quickly here, so the little areas in any type of furniture piece that you're doing that you cannot get in with the sander, you are going to want to go in the little nicks and crannies before painting and just taking a little piece of the sandpaper like this and just going in there and just roughing it up. That way the primer will stick evenly, and then also the paint will then stick evenly to the primer. So that's just what I like to recommend. That's what I do. So after I got done sanding with the major sander, I just went in, folded a little piece of the paper here, and just went into all the corners and just took about maybe 10 minutes max and just went in and just roughed up all the little edges before we tape up and paint. So the next step before we get started painting is to just go ahead and take a clean dry cloth like this and just get rid of all of those little sanding pieces that we just did with the sander. So we're just going to want to make sure that it's all nice and even. If you need to add a little alcohol, you can, just to get in the edges there. Clean it all off really nicely, and then I'm going to show you how I tape it up to paint it. Here's a look at the painter's tape that I picked up to tape up the drawers and also the top of this piece. You are going to want to pick up some painter's tape to protect the drawers whenever you're doing your paint job. So this is the kind that I got. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and put down a durable cloth so that I'm not spray painting everything around this black. So let's go ahead and get this up. I hope you guys can see this. This thing was less than $5. So for only $5, you can just tape it up like this. It's going to cover plenty of space, and I'm going to put my piece on there and get to spray painting. For this piece, I did pick up the Bear Chalk Classic Noir Matte. This is a 2-in-1 paint and primer in a single can, delivering a premium durable finish designed for both indoor and outdoor use. It can be used on wood, so that's what we're using. Now, once the fumes do get a little bit too much, you may want to go ahead and put on a mask and do a little ventilation. Okay, I had to let these dry overnight. Now that that basic primer with paint is dry, I can go in, and what I'm using is a very fine, smoother sander like this. So what this is it's not really going to sand deep. It's just going to buff out any of those rough edges that you may find after you do your basic primer coat with paint. You are going to want to go in there and smooth out anything that's left over before you do another coat and then eventually the top coat, because you want a really smooth surface. Now that I'm all done wiping off any leftover residue of that paint or that sand that was left over on the piece, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my second coat. I'm actually gonna go ahead and switch to this chalked protective coat. But yeah, this is the correct one, especially if you're gonna be using chalk paint. You're gonna wanna have a specific protective top coat for chalk paint. When it comes to actually selling these pieces, you can do so by turning right around and reselling them on Facebook Marketplace. That's a really great place to get started with. Eventually, when you get successful in the business and you start to turn over a consistent profit, you may then consider going in and opening up your very own online store. Definitely gives you an overall brand look. You can start your own company doing so, and you can actually make your pieces a little higher than maybe you're going to be able to sell them on places like Facebook Marketplace because it's a very professional image. I like to recommend Shopify because it's a platform that is really well known. They have a lot of great templates that you can get started with your own storefront easily. I also have an affiliate link for them. I'm going to have that placed in the description box down below that you can get started for your first 3 months for only $1 per month. So that's going to give you a great opportunity to get your online store set up for basically free and get started turning a profit. Now, after you've gone in and signed up with a place like Shopify, you have your online storefront. The first thing you're going to want to do is go in and personalize your domain name, because for example, right now in the Shopify storefront, this is the domain name that it gives you up front. It's scary. It looks like it could be a scam. So you're definitely going to want to go in and personalize that, okay, to your shop and to your brand. Personally, I like the .online domain extensions for many different reasons, but to be clear, a domain extension is the last part of a web address. And so for example, for a company like a furniture flipping company, I gave a hypothetical name right here, and as you can see with a .online domain, it is available. However, if you were to try to get it with a .com domain, it's definitely not. You really have way better chances of grabbing the domain name that you want to match your brand with the .online domain. Now, in terms of where to purchase your .online domain, you can do so on multiple different sites such as like GoDaddy or directly within Shopify. But the reason that I personally prefer the .online domain extension is because .online is actually the world's second largest new domain extension, and it's trusted by over 3 million businesses across all kinds of industries. Plus, the word online is searched over 500 million times every single month, so it's a really rich keyword, and it helps you show up more when people are searching. It also fits all kinds of businesses, products, services, or freelancing businesses. I also have great news that my friends at .online domains are giving you guys a really great deal. You can get your entire first year for just 99 cents by using the code all capital Kimberly. When you purchase it here, I'm going to have it on screen, but also a direct link in the description box down below. When you purchase your .online domain name in this way, you are going to have to activate it in Shopify to get that .online domain name activated in your new storefront. So I'm going to have a little quick walkthrough video in the description box down below that you can click it. I'm going to have a timestamp for the exact directions on how to connect the two. So make sure that you check out that video in the description box down below if you do need help setting up that domain name on your new Shopify storefront. Okay, so when it comes to the hardware, I actually considered buying all new hardware because I tried cleaning this and it just kind of looked kind of rusty. However, this hardware is absolutely beautiful, and you can tell it's more expensive, it's heavy, and I think it just gives the piece a look that's just different, that's higher end, higher quality, and so I think I'm just going to keep this. What I found that has really spruced it up to make it go from like this dreary, terrible looking hardware that's just rusty, and even though this can have charm, it doesn't look good, to really more polished like this. I've just taken my buffer and just buffed out that old black color, and it's just buffed it into this really nice antique looking hardware. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just gonna finish buffing out this one, getting the hardware on, and then I'm gonna give you guys a finished look. The very last step in this process for this specific piece is for me to go in and do my wood stain on the very top. Again, this was just a choice of mine for this specific piece, but it's not necessary. You just kind of go and do what you want to do. You could have painted this entire piece if you wanted to, but for me, I do think that it gives it a bit of a higher quality look with doing the wood stain. So I'm going to go in and do a wood stain. This is the stain that I specifically bought, and it does have a polyurethane in it, which is like a protectant. So you can do the stain and the protectant in one, and this is the specific brand that I got. As you can see, you do not need to wipe this. You just paint it on, let it dry, do a little buffering, do a second coat, let that dry, and then do an all-around top coat. So this one does come with a specific brush, the Minwax brush that comes with it. You can purchase this separately, or you can even use one of these foam brushes to paint it on, however you want to do it, but this is the brush that I got. And then this is the sanding stone that I got for in between, just to really buff it out, and then to also buff the top just to make it super smooth before I apply the wood stain. Now I'm going to just go into the drawer where it had like pencil marks and different little marks in the drawer. And I'm actually going to do the wood stain on this drawer as well. So I'm also going in, buffing out everything that I need to buff out on the drawer, blowing it off with my blower from my paint sprayer, which I also do have, but it's not necessary in the beginning. And then I'm just going in and doing my wood stain all over the drawer as well. That way when the new owner pulls out the drawer, it all matches with the top. I've done all my top coats, the paint is done. Now it's time to go ahead and re-put on the hardware so that you can take photos and list it either on Facebook Marketplace or on your own website. Here's a list of everything that was purchased for this piece, the price that it would cost to get started with this business, and also how long it took me to do this specific piece of furniture, along with the expected listing price based on my area. So this should give you a rough draft of what you can expect. Okay, and here's a look at the finished piece. I absolutely loved the way that it turned out, but you guys let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Do you have any questions that came up while you were watching this video for starting or getting started doing this side hustle or small business? I'm also going to be showing you guys some great photo examples of how you could list photos for your Facebook Marketplace listing. As always, thank you guys so much for all of your continuous support, and I do look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye bye.